So my goal this afternoon is to provide some insight on how Raleigh has become a open city, a self-appointed open city. No one told us that we needed to be more open, but there were signs that it was a great position for us, and this is a little of how we prepared for the challenge. The first thing I have to say we had to do is to step outside of that bureaucratic box that government usually stays in and find ways to better engage with our citizens, the private sector, and the local universities. So I consider myself a community CIO. Both my role and my passion is to find innovative ways to utilize technology to educate and enable communities. And I would say as an equalizer of sorts. So back in 2010, I think it was, Forbes labeled Raleigh one of the most wired cities in the country. And what we want is, we want Raleigh to be one of the most connected cities in the country. And connected to us means that people are connected with people, but also that our citizens are connected with government. And our constituents know that they can get information and have access to government. What we want is ubiquitous access throughout our city, like air. And that's our performance goal. We're partnering with other municipalities, the private sector, and local universities to bring high-speed gigabit access to your homes. And that should be an applause somewhere. Today, what I'd like to do is to correlate how open source, open data, and open access become that ecosystem. So everything that you do, you can walk out of here and tell people that open source runs the city because it helps us to run the city of Raleigh. At the end of my presentation, I have a short video that I want you to see, and that video denotes the boots on the ground. How does the work that we do within the city with our open source tools, with our open data tools, how does that impact our citizens? And you'll enjoy it. So open source for us was a response to limited funding, the benefit of having a formidable partner in our midst. We know who that is. And looking for advanced solutions for enhanced ways to enable our communities and interact with our citizens. So we stand on the premise that technology can impact economic development and the quality of lives in our community. We're beginning to see that in great ways in Raleigh with our open source initiatives, our open data consumption by our citizens, and with our initiative to bring high-speed fiber to our communities. So we are in the process now of working, thank you. We are in the process now of working with two entities. A few years ago, we did what we call request for proposal, which is kind of a government effort to bring in partners. And we wrote a proposal, and we asked for individuals who were interested in coming to our region to come in and roll out high-speed fiber. We got 8 responses to that RFP, and we now have 2 providers that we're talking to, one that we have secured a license agreement with, which is AT&T, that will bring high-speed fiber to the home here in the region, 6 cities, 3 universities. And we also are in the last few months of working with Google Fiber, a little company out of California. To finish a checklist so they can decide whether Raleigh and the other municipalities will become a Google Fiber city. So with that, we moved forward and we determined ways to support our infrastructure and our culture around Raleigh being an open city. So many of you would ask, how does a city begin to use open source? And we've presented this timeline in the past, but I just wanted to quickly talk about some of the framework around the timeline, which addresses how you get it through a political body. So we actually took a resolution to our city council. You met Mayor McFarland this morning who spoke, who is a very progressive mayor. And we took that resolution not because government needs another resolution, but primarily because we wanted the opportunity to educate our political body on what is open source. What does open mean? What does open data mean? Does it mean that we're not willing, or we haven't been in the past willing to share information with the public? No, that's not what it meant. What it meant to us, that it gave us more of a catalyst to begin to have ways to interface with the public, to interface with our citizens, to share information, to use data and information as problem-solving solutions. So part of that was an educational opportunity for us. Some of the other highlights of the timeline were that we hired a open data manager and had that person on full time. And if you work in the government space, you know resources are thin. So we felt it was important enough for us to put our money where our mouths were. So Jason Hare, who is our open data manager, spoke to earlier today, and he can tell you a lot about some of the struggles that we had in terms of rolling out. We also had issues within our own culture. We had to bring people around to what open data was. We had individuals that thought it was a little wonky, that there was somebody who was developing open source code in the basement, and that the city government was going to use it, and we were going to get hacked. So we had to deal with those issues as well. So an internal education as well as a political education. So one of the things that Jason always says is standing on the shoulders of giants. And unfortunately, at the time, we had to work around what that meant, and that we could learn from the open source community, and that we could share information, and of course that it was a financial gain for us. So not to belabor the issue, we had some work to do as it related to our internal culture. The other thing that I could say about the timeline is we had the opportunity to change some of our procurement practices, that we could actually go out and rather than buy an off-the-shelf system with a great deal of funding associated with the licensing, that we could begin to incorporate open source tools into our portfolio. And I'll have a list of some of those tools further in the presentation. So the one thing that I wanted to just openly talk to you about is why we do this. So, why should we be an open city? And when you think about the whole ideal of the issue of social media, mobile applications, analytics, and cloud, we know that this term smack, and it doesn't mean to hit someone, but what it means is that it is a fifth generation of IT innovation. This is what drives us. This is what our citizens are doing. SMAC is unique in that it has this multiplier effect on the way that individuals, which mean our citizens, and our organizations work together. So today's citizens, especially digital natives, expect anytime, anywhere, and any device associated with the convenience of accessing the web. So it's projected in 2020 that 100 billion computing devices will be connected to the web, that government organizations like ours will have 100 times the data that they have today to manage. So we're saying 2020, and it's almost 2015, so we're not even talking 10 years from now. So providing a government that is collaborative, connected, and available to the public becomes a necessity for us and not an option. We'll do the video.
Raleigh sets out to be a completely open city, a global city, and we've set open as a culture for decision making. Open is much more than open source code, access to data, or connectivity. It's the potential to drive economic development, entrepreneurship, and education. New innovations in technology have changed the way IT services are consumed by the end user. The City of Raleigh has recognized this shift in technology. We've embraced change by leveraging a combination of these disruptive technologies. These technologies include SMAC, a fifth-generation architecture that supports our residents and business owners in the most efficient way possible. SMAC architecture includes a new form of commerce, collaboration, and content that's more social, mobile, analytical, and cloud-enabled. As a result, residents, visitors, and businesses will be able to leverage and enhance user experience, productivity, and maximum convenience. It's these pioneering services in IT and transformation which enable the City of Raleigh to be seen as a model open city. Raleigh is forward-thinking. We promote growth through technology advancement, youth initiatives, open access, and open innovation. Through corporate partners and residents, we've been able to support various initiatives, including community broadband, free Wi-Fi, civic engagement, and the Digital Connectors program, all of which create a vibrant, economically viable city. We are in our 5th year of a highly successful Digital Connectors program, which enables young citizens to learn key life and technical skills necessary for the 21st century workforce, to become not only leaders in the community, but give back to others through service projects, which include training others to become technology proficient.
In my final project as a digital connector, I've learned that open data can be used to bridge the digital divide by showing the technology gaps in local Raleigh neighborhoods. We definitely get head deep into community service and learning to give back to others.
It's time for a change, and technology can support new ideas, new thinking, and collaboration. Ultimately, through open data, citizens can begin to serve themselves. For example, we've had numerous developers benefit from our UDO rezoning map online application. UDO is about making zoning regulations that are predictable for developers and city residents. We essentially remapped Raleigh and create a map that can be used by everyone, whether it's zoning, HOAs, or neighborhoods. We couldn't have done this without data in common formats that allowed us to collaborate with developers in the community. Today, it's easier to plan what Raleigh looks like in the future and easier for residents to know what the future of the city looks like.
What I like best about the website is the fact that, well, number one, it's user-friendly. It's easy to find the properties. It's easy to compare the differences in the new zoning compared to the old zoning. There's a place where you put in the subject property and you get a split screen that shows you both the original zoning and a full map of the property and also the new zoning. As a result, I think what the website does is it takes a lot of the anxiety out of the change for the local residents who aren't used to dealing with zoning issues on a day-to-day basis.
Open data help local faith-based organizations distribute food to underserved individuals.
Open data has given the entire community the ability to collaborate with each other. As a result, more people can be fed more efficiently, and residents who wish to do good can connect with those in need.
Raleigh is an open city more than just open source or open data. Raleigh is a city that believes in open access as a means to improve the lives of everyone here. Whether it's our open connectivity for parents in the parks or connectivity for downtown vendors who use connectivity to process credit card sales, Free Wi-Fi helps people stay connected and even connected to their mobile office. But it reaches far beyond connectivity. It's about touching the lives of all of our citizens. Touching lives with technology is our goal.
So the good part, that's the work that we do on a daily basis. And I just had to stop for a minute, have my team stand up. They're the wizards behind the curtain. This guy over here. And then I would have all of you who work in the open source community to understand that the more tools that you have available to us as a government entity, the better we can utilize those tools and move away from some of the traditional models that we've had to use in the past. And that is absolutely where we're headed. One of my lead developers, who I think is here, Chad Foley, Chad said to me that the game is over in open source 1. And that is where we're headed as an organization culturally. We want to be able to do more. We want to use tools like GitHub because it's a game changer for us. It allows us with limited funds and limited staffing to do some of the things that we dream about. And this certainly has been an excellent conference for me to see how many people are involved in the open source community. And I talk to people and try to learn more about the organizations that you are with, because we strive to move forward with open source tools. Thank you for listening to me today, and if anybody asks you, tell them if you're in the open source community that you are actually running a city. Thank you.